Hello, this is Linda Vetras Nichols, evolutionaryhealer.com, and I have for you the most amazing person, Alicia Civile. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Linda. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, so much fun to have you. And we've had a really good time talking about your work, so I can't wait for you to share. Let's start
Yeah,
with your story of transformation. It's fascinating.
thank you. Yeah, I had a bit of a wake-up call when I was originally in my design career,
Mm,
and I had been really pushing myself, and this had been my theme for my entire life. I was always an overachiever, perfectionist, and I defined myself as that. And I saw that really as a badge of honor. It was something that I was really proud of, that I pushed myself to the limits and even beyond. And, when I was at points of almost suffering um, or really hurting for my craft, I saw that as me doing good enough, or that was a validation. And that really carried with me through college, grad school, my start of my design career. And it was a heavy burden to carry because I was always holding myself to this perfectionist goal, which you can
right.
never reach. So I was always letting myself down and I was always beating myself up. And uh, it was really about, for me, it was about sort of control. If I could just do good enough and control the situation, then things would be okay, things would be safe, things would be in order.
Right.
And I really ended up just burning myself out. I started having really severe health issues. Um, I wasn't happy even though I had everything I thought I wanted. I had everything on paper, so it looked good.
Right.
And people were very proud of me because I had achieved these things, but I wasn't feeling good in what I had accomplished. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the biggest wake up call, is when I started having health issues, because it was something I couldn't ignore anymore. When my intuition was coming to me and saying, you need to slow down, or this isn't the right path for you right now. And I was getting these very clear messages, but I was shutting them down and saying, no, I know better. This is the path that I'm supposed to take. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's when I hit that point of burnout and had all those health issues. And those were my biggest wake up call, because there was no denying them. It wasn't just something that I was hearing, it was something I was feeling. And it was something other people, it was visible to other people too. So that was the
Right.
biggest thing as well. I couldn't deny it because other people were seeing it and concerned for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then it turned all around to allowing and receiving. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And that was such a big shift for me. It was night and day, where I had to step away from the design career and take care of my health. And as
yeah,
I was doing that, I started to really respect my intuition in a new way. And I was starting to listen to it and allow it to come in and receive it. And when I did that, things started to flow easily. It wasn't such a push, and it wasn't so heavy, and it wasn't so exhausting.
mm, very cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to be in control. So a lot of your issues were stemming from this, not listening, and then you're not because, I got this. I'm in control, right? You're not in
Hmm.
control. Stop telling me that. I'm in control. I love it. The body is the smart one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So holding everything. Tell us more about that, or tell us about that.
Yeah. I always had this idea that I had to make everything happen. I had to control it. I was holding this heavy burden of all the responsibility was on my shoulders. I had to make everything happen instead of
Right.
allowing it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had that when I was a dancer, and I was even being trained as a teacher, and I had like the little kids group and stuff. And I just had this heavy burden that, if I didn't show up, like the world would fall apart. And this was high school. And so when I
Yeah.
did happen to get sick, which we do if we act that way, um, I got to realize I wasn't the center of the universe, and that the world didn't fall apart. And my mother was like really good about literally pointing that out to me. See, the
Mm,
world goes on. And like all these other people stepped in, and it's like, you know what? We're not in this world alone. We don't have to do it
mm,
alone. And we're not going to be able to do it alone, especially success. It really takes a
yeah.
tribe of people. Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything on doing it alone from your side?
Yes. That was a big thing for me too. I was always in this mindset of competition and having to be the best.
Yeah.
So that really isolated me. And there was this idea of competition with other women or having to prove myself. And
Mm-hmm.
that blocked off a lot of relationships that could have happened. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something I've been welcoming in over the past year, especially. And it's been so beautiful and such a relief to
Mm-hmm.
have the support of other women and to be able to share and celebrate with them or have someone to go to and really share my heart with if I'm dealing with something.
Mm-hmm.
And that too, it relieves the struggle because we're not holding it all alone. And it
Yeah.
brings that into reality.
Yeah. And I love it how it is. It's so much about carrying heavy burdens, and that's the huge beauty of the work that
Mm.
you're doing with women in helping to even like point that out, and then how to get out from under that. And would you say you work with mindset?
I would say yes, work with mindset, but I think it's more about, I think sometimes mindset is the thing that people come with or what they expect to have dealt with. And when we address those mindset issues, it's really a transfer. It's a bodily transformation in the sense of you experience it and you feel it. It's not just something in your head. It's not just changing your mind. It's really embodying that in the sense of feeling it in your body and having that physical knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest shift too, because I think sometimes we're so in our heads and we're trying to convince ourselves logically and reason away the intuition that's there. But
Right.
that intuition is a feeling, it's a strong feeling and knowing in the body. So
Yes.
that's a huge thing too, is connecting back to that. Or not, I don't even want to say connecting back, but listening to that again, because I think we're always
Mm-hmm.
connected to it,
Oh yeah.
but sometimes we shut it up for so long that
Mm-hmm.
we're not listening.
Yeah, and I really smiled when you said the word embodying, because man, that has just really been the thing in this past year, especially about helping women to really embody what is up in their heads and to actually take action. So yeah, I love the work that you're doing. That's very cool. Anything else here? You ready to move on?
Uh, yeah, I think we can move on.
Okay, so exhaustive states and stress. That you're kind of like the expert. It seems like that's the client you're attracting is the amazing women doing amazing things, and they're in exhaustive states, and there's a lot of stress in their lives. So tell us more about your work, even.
Yes. So this was my experience, as I said earlier, and this is the experience that I've seen in so many successful female entrepreneurs, especially because a lot of us are of that, they say type A personality, perfectionist, really driven, and that's what's gotten things done. That's what's accomplished things. But then it leaves us in a state of exhaustion and depletion where we're coming last, and everything, all our goals, aspirations, the things that we want to achieve, those end up coming first and literally sucking us dry.
Right.
And so that's a lot of the work too, is addressing that.
Yeah, building a life and knowing what feeds you and what keeps the exhaustion away and what keeps the stress away, and then building the business around that. We get so excited about our projects because they're just so beneficial to others and we're really helping. And you know what? That's not a way to live. And I guess we all just seem to learn it the hard way. I don't know. Unless we've got some really good mentors and role models and people like you who will cut it off at the quick, you know? So by your
Yeah.
education, which if this is what you're doing right here, you're out there educating and not waiting for women to come to you in that state. So that's wonderful. I appreciate your work. All right. So keeping the control, do you want to say any more on that or go into designed for easy? I love that.
I think, yeah, keeping the control is just knowing, and that's a big thing I work with too, is connecting to divine intuition, and I believe that that's very divinely guided, and knowing that we have support there too. It's
Yeah.
not just it's not just the people around us, but um, having access to that source energy, literal energy.
Mhm.
And when you're connected to that, things flow easier. There's aligned action that happens, and it's not a state of pushing and exhaustion because you are following your intuition and you are
Mhm.
taking action in alignment with that, and things flow easier. And that's also about designed for easy. We are literally designed for that. That's what we're designed to receive. So when we're in these exhaustive states, it's a good clue that we're not following what we were designed for.
Yeah, absolutely. Years and years of programming, thousands. Okay, and then the whole let go thing. I know with let go in my work, it's about releasing, and sometimes we find like a predator in their life, and then they get to chew them out, and then say a neutralizing phrase. And so, how about in your work? What are you working with in the idea of let go?
Yeah. Well, I think that part is so important because that's literally letting go of the struggle, and it's before accepting, you have to let it go. You have to be able to
Mhm.
release that. And a big part of that is looking at things that sometimes we don't think are connected and are really foundational blocks that have dictated this behavior. So, for me, a lot of that was things that happened in childhood and relationships there, and things that seemed insignificant maybe to others, but had a really big impact on me. So, when we go through this work, it's really looking at specifically what is happening in your life, but not just looking at the triggers and the things that are happening currently, but looking at what's dictating that behavior and those reactions.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. People refer to us as, my husband and I, like you and Terry do the deeper work. And it's like, yeah, because we've gotten it figured out that there is this active block and it's kind of at the bottom of a whole string of Christmas tree lights, and it draws in all these events in a person's life till finally the neural system can't handle it anymore, and maybe someone gets a full blown case of PTSD. And sometimes it continues, where there's more events and then another PTSD. And we've even started working with complex PTSD, and we just started with procrastination and self sabotage. So that just is blowing me away how that's been working too. So, yes, our work is very aligned. I love it. Okay, so here we go. You are sacred.
Yes, yes. I think this is such a big thing, and I think it's something we can easily forget, especially when we have long to-do lists and we have the
Mm-hmm.
quote things that we're trying to accomplish. Um, but really just remembering that we are sacred. We are designed as sacred beings. We have a soul inside the sacred vessel, and we are carrying physical light with us. And I think when we ground back to that, it's so powerful because of course you're going to care for something that is sacred. Of course you're going to care for yourself differently and respect your intuition differently when you realize that and you really
Mm-hmm.
embody that.
Yep, I love that part. Very cool. All right, so you are loved. I like
Yes.
that. Women, it's so important for us to feel supported. And we get into like our drama sometimes of how we aren't because
Hmm.
we haven't supported ourselves. And we think like everybody around is supposed to support us, and then we can like do our thing. And it's like, no, if you're not running the energy of self support, then you're not sending out that energy, and people aren't going to be affected by that energy and turn around and support you. And same with being loved. I had this most amazing man walk into my life who really, really loves me, who really, really supports me. But it wasn't until I learned to love myself that my world really changed.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. And I think I love what you said. And I think a lot of times that idea of self-love, it gets blocked because, like I was talking earlier about perfectionism, when we're in that state of wanting to achieve perfection and wanting to make our goals the most important thing,
Right.
it's easy to beat ourselves up. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
always in a state of self-loathing and criticism. So we're judging ourselves and loving ourselves based on what we accomplish. And
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to think that people around us aren't loving us and are holding the same standard of love.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is so classic to drawing in the predator, drawing in the lousy husband, the lousy boyfriend, or whatever. So
Hmm.
we get to be careful with that, as well as um, I'm I have a real passion that I love it when women are out there, working with the girls, raising girls to see who they really are, and get to know themselves and really be able to love themselves. And even the ones that are in for lack of better words, like the Christian realm, where it's about love and stuff like that. They don't always learn to love themselves. They love God, blah blah blah, but they're not maybe loving themselves. So it doesn't matter what environment you're in. It's a personal choice, and it's a personal act almost, and it's not always taught. So I love it when people are out there teaching that, even to the young ones.
I love that too. And I think that is so foundational because a lot of the women I work with, and this was myself included, we weren't raised even to know how to care for ourselves, to love ourselves. It's this whole pattern that was formed when we were young, and
Mm-hmm.
now this is almost the repair state, trying to just rediscover and repair. And yeah, so if you can serve these young women and allow them to learn about themselves at that age, I mean, that's the most powerful thing because it's going to dictate everything in their lives, their career, their relationships, all of these big things that we put so much pressure on,
Mm-hmm.
they would come easily if that foundation was set.
Right. I tend to work with women in their 30s, and they're working through their deals with their mothers, so they're sort of still like, almost healing, if you will. And I don't believe there's anything to heal when you're walking at the level of your soul, but that's what I help them to do. So it's interesting. For me, I feel like I'm on the other end of the problem, if you will. And so that's why I was saying love it when like you're saying too, when people are working with those younger girls. So, work me out of a job, I would
Exactly.
love that. Yeah. Then I'll go help the little girls. So cool. All right. And you are held. Did you basically make your point on that then? You are held, or do you have a little bit more?
Yes, I think that's so connected to what we were saying before about divine guidance and being connected to source and knowing too that I think this is something that people think you have to ascend to or you have to practice or this sort of thing, but knowing that you are always connected
Yeah.
and and that is even just such powerful knowledge. And then once you embody that and you feel that and you have that knowing,
Yep.
you have this constant flow of energy and inspiration and creativity and love, and you are always held and always loved. So you're always in this state, and then you care for yourself at a different level, and then you attract those who care about you at a different level. So it really
Right.
has a ripple effect.
It really does. And what I learned this year was, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking that really like opens a person up, And I learned to go to the back of my heart, and when you do that, your chest rises and your shoulders lower. Well, right there, that's an amazing position to be in. And then when you open your arms, almost like ballet arms, and think about puffing up all of your cells. And if anything negative is coming at you, just allow it to go right through you and vaporize right through you. Not even like a liquid, a vapor. Just let it vaporize right through you. And it just came to my mind when you were talking about, you are held, and realizing it. It made me kind of go into that position almost, like, yeah. So if you're looking for a physical act to perform, exercise to do, go to the back of your heart, and you'll notice that your chest will rise and your shoulders will lower. Open your arms up like ballet arms, puff up all your cells, and yeah, whatever negativity is coming at you, it just vaporizes right through. It's very empowering. I love it.
I love that. And I love that, knowing that it's dissolving. It's not even going, it's just boop,
On. Absolutely.
gone.
It's just, yeah, I love it. Okay. And so out of your head and into sacred. I always say, like, get out of your head and get into your heart. And I love the way you're wording this, out of your head into sacred. So fill us in on that.
Yeah. Out of head and into sacred, it's this idea of, like we're talking about embodying before, and literally getting out of the mental chatter and into your body. And I think that's such a big thing now, especially with technology. Is beautiful, allows us to connect. We're doing this over technology, but sometimes we can get so into the things or into the technology or into the headspace. And I think sometimes that holds us there. And we're in these things, and we're not in our bodies. We're not feeling our bodies. And that's such a big part of embodying, is being in your body and feeling it and being connected to it. And into sacred, into the body, into the heart, into that connection. And that connection is sacred. So yeah, once we recognize that we are sacred, which was mind-blowing for me, and then start to treat ourselves differently because we have respect for the sacred place that we are held. And that makes us want to get into that body, get into that movement, get into that. And I mean, that can be done through so many things. I really like meditation, tapping, dancing, just feeling our bodies instead of staying in our heads.
Yeah, I love it. Very cool. All right. So in summary, you don't have to be in control. And Alicia, you work with exhaustive stress and states, and you've learned to do that because you went through all that yourself. So that's your journey. And that we're all sacred. So why don't you do your summary?
Yes. I think that's such a big realization. And I think if anybody takes anything away from this, you are sacred, you are loved, you are held. Those are just divine birthrights. And that is true for you. And that's such a big foundation. And I think lets so much go when you know that.
Absolutely. Very cool. Okay, and you have a really cool gift, a love note from my soul to yours. So tell us about your gift that people can opt in for on your site. And they can just go right back out to their email to click this link they see here. So go ahead.
Beautiful. Yes, this is a love note from my soul to yours. Every week I send out a really beautiful graphic that you can put wherever you want on your desktop. You can pin it, you can print it, you can just have it near you to remind you whatever that soul note is for that week. And it's really things that are just soul known and messages from divine and intuition, and sharing that. And it's so beautiful because every week I feel like that connects so specifically with what people are going through,
Nice.
because we're all evolving together, and this is happening simultaneously. So yeah, getting that and just that inspiration and encouragement each week.
Very cool. Thank you very much for that. So go back out to the email where you click to get out to this interview. So it's below Alicia's bio and picture, and just click the link for her gift and you can register. You'll find this little piece on her site. So very cool. All right, thank you. You know, when we were talking about embodying it reminded me of people tend to avoid that because they're not clear on how to be at the level of their soul. So when they're in their body, they're in their pain body and all this junk from their past, or they're in their ego, whether it's over ego or under ego for the moment. So if they're gonna be in their body, they'll at least, go there for some protection. And there isn't anything to protect when you're walking at the level of your soul. Everything just is. You're completely out of judgment. Talk about the burdens, right, being lifted, Alicia. So cool. All right. Anything else you wanted to share?
I love what you just said. And yeah, when you're walking at the level of your soul, you have acceptance. And that's the biggest thing is accepting where you're at and whatever you're going through. And it's free of that judgment. So you're
Yeah.
not putting all this pressure on yourself. You can just accept it and dissolve it and move through.
And voila. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. This is amazing. You have a really great service and great teachings. I appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was so beautiful to speak with you, and I really appreciate what you're doing too.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.